Okay, so in our previous examples, we have mentioned that it is an excellent practice to use a macro to define the length of an array. Now the question is it possible to set the length of the array to be user-defined? Actually, yes, it is possible. So let's show this by having an example first. So we will be creating a program that allows a user to specify the size and elements of the array, then we print out the negative elements in the created array. So here's an example of how the program should work. So the user will enter the number of the elements, so 5. So that means that 5 numbers will be entered. And from these numbers, we will be selecting which one of these are negative. Okay, so let's dive into the code. So first we will be declaring a variable n that will store the length of the array. So we will be prompting the user to enter its value. Okay, so we enter the value n, and then that value will be saved to the address of n. So in the previous example, we have shown that the user entered 5. So that 5 will be stored in the variable n. Now, we can proceed to declaring the array. So we now know the length of the array, okay? So we declare an array A with an integer type and a length n, which was specified by the user. Now, we will be storing the elements as we read it. So let's say we entered 4. So this, the first number 1 will be stored to a of 0. So do you remember how the elements of a certain array are arranged? So the elements of an array are conceptually arranged one after the other, right? So the first element will be accessed with a of 0, and then the second element follows the first element is a of 1 until n minus 1. Okay, so and then after we read all the elements, after we read all these values, now we will be selecting the negative numbers. Okay, so still we will be using a loop in order to access these values and determine if these values are negative. Okay, so we will be nesting an if statement inside the for loop that check whether each element is negative. Okay, so rule of the thumb, we start with 0, and then it will continue until we reach the length of an array. So let's say if a of 0 is or the first element is less than 0, then we print it when we print its value and specify that it's a negative number. Okay, so previously we entered 1, 2, -3, and -4. So we know that the last 2 elements of the array are the only negative ones. So that's what we are going to display. Okay, so